Good morning, everybody. So glad to be talking to you this morning. Just a weekly recap of what we've learned. This week we learned about paying attention, not to be selective listeners, not to take easily offense because offense is a choice. And then we also learned about believing God and then also making time to rest. You know, it's important during this time that you focus on not just being a selective listener, not taking offense, and believing God, and then making sure that you have time for rest. Now, if we go through what we've been doing on Monday we learned not to be a selective listener and that our ears are actually connected to our hearts. And so we have to recognize that our ears are connected to our hearts. And therefore, we should also know that we shouldn't lend our ears out because it opens us up to offense and negative emotions. And therefore, we also learned on Tuesday that offense is a choice and we have a choice. So we should choose not to be offended, easily offended. And in fact, you know, when we are offended, let's adopt a Christ-like posture of forgiving and not being offended, because let the accusation stay with the other party than with us. And then thirdly, we realize that it's important for us to believe God. You know, God takes it so personal when we don't believe Him. It's like, I told you so. You know, why don't you just believe me? Why do you have to see things first? And so we know that it's easy to believe things when we see it, but when we have to believe when we don't see and we haven't seen, it's more difficult. And God considers, actually, if we don't believe Him, that it's like having an evil heart. God is after our hearts. God wasn't offended with Israel because of their deeds. He was offended because their hearts were all over the show. Let us this weekend, reflect on the fact that our hearts needs to be stable on God. Yesterday we celebrated Ascension Day. What a lovely day to celebrate. A day when Jesus ascended into heaven to take up His rightful place in heaven, be seated at the right hand of the Father. And then the Holy Spirit descends to be with us. Now, if the Holy Spirit is with us, Jesus is positioned in heaven, sitting at the right hand of the Father. Yesterday, then we should relax. Then we should rest. Then we should rejuvenate. And we should allow God to deal with our anxieties, our fears, and to make our dreams and our desires a reality, because He's at the right hand of the Father. I pray this day that as you go into this weekend, you're going to think about paying attention to your family and your loved ones. Not to take offense for small things or to sweat the small stuff. To believe God in the midst of your circumstances, your difficulties, to believe God. And then lastly, to take time to rest. Because we are going to enter the rest of God. Those who don't enter the rest of God will simply not enter His rest because they haven't believed God. And so my encouragement to you today is, let us relax. Jesus is seated at the right hand of the Father. The Holy Spirit is with us. And so we have an ability to believe Him, that He's able to do what He said He's going to do. This weekend, if you have enjoyed this, I want you to share it with as many people as possible. If you have been blessed and you want some voice messages or WhatsApp group with the scripting, we can also provide that to you. Please just provide us your number, and then please check us out on Facebook, Insta, Twitter, and check us out on YouTube. And also check out our site, c3lifechanges.com. God bless you. Have a wonderful weekend. Hope to see you and speak to you again next week, Monday. God bless.